So it's been a little while. This is a quick picture of this, a Xigmatek Asgard 381. There's a blown up diagram of it, which is a new case for me. There its specs there. And it is to replace this case. This case cost me the princely sum of £13. Although, I don't know if you'll be able to see. Yep, you can see a reflection on it. That line, that's a crack. I ended up cracking the damn thing. And it's pretty flimsy. So I'll replace it with this beast. But what's happening is not only this new case, which I have had open, sort of thing. I've had a quick look at it. And today I am actually going to do what I am going to do, which is put in a new motherboard. And there is my new CPU cooler, which is another Arctic Freezer 7 Pro Rev 2. I have one of these already. I like this. Not the best cooler, but it's doing me fine. And it was a white box OEM release motherboard, hopefully. It could have been second hand, it could have been a customer return. That's the perils of buying what is, well, an open box product. But it looked to be an OEM, and it is an MSI B75A-G43 socket 1155 motherboard. Here's my receipt. Basically it means it comes with nothing at all, except, luckily, the back plate and the board, which I can take out of the bag, hopefully. There we go. Seems to be a nice enough board. It's not super cheap, but not super expensive. It's less than £50 with postage. And what do I miss? I miss a few cables, you know, bundled serial ATA cable, maybe a bundled serial port and parallel port, which it says it can support, maybe a bundled DVI adapter. And this board takes DDR3 only, which is good because I have 4 sticks of that. So it's socket 1155 Pentium. Does have space for onboard graphics. We have HDMI, DVI and VGA, or D sub as it is now. For USB 2, keyboard and mouse, which does have a breakout cable or a Y splitter. Yeah, I don't really need it now though, I use USB ones. We have onboard Ethernet, I believe is gigabit. 7 channel surround, 2 USB 3, and there's also a USB header. Now I'm going to build up this in the board. It's already built. I'm going to put this in the case and just get it all sorted out, and then I'm going to check my system fan availability, which I'm kind of doing now. I have 2 3-pin connections there, and then I have 2 4-pin connections, because I'm going to have space in this case for 7 fans in total. I don't need that many though. I might put 2 on the front, leave 1 at the back, and then there's 2 on the top and 2 on the side it can have. It's just a little overkill. We do have serial ATA 3, and if anybody knows where I live, near the town of Whitby, it's the mods are all in now because Easter holidays, so the scooter boys are going by. It does have 2 PCI Express 3 compatible. I believe this one is PCI Express 2. So you have 3 standard PCI ports and 2 PCI Express 1.0s, which is kind of good because I have my video capture card. I plan on getting a second graphics card, the same as what I have now, another Radeon 5750, just to SLI them together for a bit of a boost. I can't lay out full whack for 80 quid or more for a new singular card, so if I can get one for about 25-30 quid second hand, that'll boost up my power a bit. I do plan on buying a brand new SSD. Whilst I'm building this up, I will just be testing, and I will be testing it using a few bundledy bits. Let's just tidy up some of this junk up here. It's a receipt. So I have my serial 88 optical drive. This is just a DVD-ROM or DVD writer, so that can be used. Power adapter, because this what was this one again? Ah yes, it's an OCZ unit. If you can see, I've written in very naff writing, always live. What happened is, this switch, this was my brother's power supply. I bought him this when I upgraded him a few years ago to Pentium 4 system. And this was just nice and cheap at about £30 then for a 500. Yeah, 500. Comes with a fair whack of bundled cables for hard drives, serial 88, graphics card, yada yada. But it was just before the 8-pin CPU took over. The 8-pin board, I should say. So, yeah, and going back onto it, the switch is crap. It was completely naff. And I didn't have the equipment to do the job at the time, but my friend needed a power supply and his dad's a Sparky, so I said, if you can unsolder the connection, the loop through, for the switch, just join them together, you'll make it always live, but it works just fine. And that's what he did. And to say, with his dad being an electrician, he has the proper cable crimps and everything, so I can use that. It's an audio cable. And then this was my 500 gig hard drive in my PC. It was recently faulty. I don't know why it went that way, it just went all funny. She's not very old. Where's the date on it? May 2012. I'm looking right at it. But it's kind of awkward. I'm looking through the viewfinder, although it's physically bigger. I still have my 320 gig hard drive in this system, which is what my games are loaded onto. But the storage drive, which was this, is now a 2 terabyte Seagate drive, I think it was. I'll be getting another one anyway. But this is if I want to test load an operating system on it. So it won't be at its fastest, but it'll be alright. I have 2 of the RAM 6 spare at the moment. 2 are in here. The graphics card will be coming out, obviously. The SSD will be replaced, so that can stay in there. My storage hard drive will be in here. I will be leaving the case fans and things in there. I'll be taking the power supply from it. And my optical drives, that fan can stay. I can refill those with blanking plates. And the RAM and the processor can be put back down to its original 2.4 GHz Q6600 speed with DDR2 that I have spare. And then hopefully, in the future, I will be getting a i5 3570K, or, although it's a bit silly, I might get the i7 2700, is it? I can't remember. But the i5 would be just as more than enough. And the SSD will be bought for when I do set it up, because it'll have a complete fresh install of Windows, which I didn't do with that. So this machine is a bit poorly because of that. And that's about it. I'm going to build it up like I say. I'm going to check out my case fan layout. And probably try and get... but then again, they can take 3-pin fans, so I'll just get 2 3-pin 12cm fans and lug them in the front. And we will show you what it's like on the inside, actually. Might as well. No reason not to. I'll sit this back like this for now, because I'm going to be needing it in a little bit. And we have a sleepy cat. Nice and sunshiny today, although I believe, what are we temperature wise, this is only my bedroom, it's about 11.5 degrees. That's not too bad. When I first moved into this house, I was waking up with frost on my nose. I did that at least once or twice, I know that for a fact. And what will I do with this machine? Well, just whilst I'm moving this out before I get a good look, I will, like I say, stick some DDR2 back in it, downclock the processor again. It will have its Radeon 47 or was it 4670 I think I had. I'll stick that back in it, I suppose, and tidy it up again, make it dusted out, cleaned up and everything. I'll probably stick this power supply into it just to make sure, excuse me, just to make sure it has one, and then I will just keep it somewhere. I don't know. It'll still have this installer Windows 7 on it. I mean, what I could do is mess around and use this as a testing system then. Ooh, excuse me. Use it as a testing system then. Basil. Hello, Pusscat. Not so sleepy Pusscat, it would appear. So, let's look at the case. Like I said, I have had this open, I've had a look inside. It's all fine, it's all good. We have two vents on the bottom. I believe, was that a fan mount? Well, one is for your power supply if you have it invert mounted, not inverse. So you can at least still obviously get air through it. And the cat is looking all interested. You can see here we have two fan mounts on the side. I believe this thing can take 16mm fans. 16cm rather, which is I think it can take, yeah, can it take them? I believe the, hello cat, who's all Mr. Happy? What's all this about then, Pusscat? Right, bugger off, I'm doing a video. There he goes. Yes, so I believe 16cm fans on the side, and then it's probably, you can stick the two on top as well, because this is the top, obviously. It's a fairly nice sort of matte black case, not sort of glossy plastic. My cat's being lazy, get out the door, he's always lazy like that. Obviously, let me just show the side. It's your standard solid profile. Only thing I'm not wee bit happy with is the top. This is a little awkward if you want to use the USB ports on the top, at least in this setup. Same for the headphone and that lot. However, I have a USB headset now. We have the reset and power buttons and the indicators. The front does come off, but I haven't done any of that yet. I don't really want to. I believe these just pop out, these grills. Well, you can see right behind it. And there's the fan mounts. There's basic dust shields. You can kind of maybe see the grilling effect. Just on the intakes, and then on the back. Your standard modern design now, where the power supply is mounted at the bottom. The board is above, which does help with airflow. We have two cut-offs here, or cut-outs, for heat pipes for a liquid cooling system. I believe that's what this is also for. Big complaint by many people is there's no rubber edges, although they're quite smooth, so that wouldn't really matter, especially if you're not in and out all the time with the cooling system. The system 2, 4 and standard 7 ports, the mounting top, and the one exhaust fan you get. The complaint some people have is you only get the one fan at about the price range, which I think was about £35–36 I paid for this. And you would at least thought you'd get a cheap and nasty fan in the front, at least one of them. And like I said, there's the interior. Your standard case design. There is some cable routing able to be done, which is good. This is the first case I've had of this modern style. I use that in quotation because many of the PCs I have, or have had, or even worked on, still have fairly old chassis, just people changing the internals every few years. So you end up with a 10-year-old, 15-year-old case with 3-year-old parts in it. It is a Xigmatek orange bladed fan, 3-pin. Here we have all our mounting screws, pins and accessory book, the USB header cable, USB 3 and such. I'm going to have a quick read of that and make sure that if you're going to use USB 3 on your board, I believe it will be common sense. You will just plug USB 3 only in and not USB 2, otherwise you'll cause damage. And you can't and can kind of see, there we go, there is a tray there. Actually, if I don't be lazy and put the light on, you get an SSD mounting tray as well as a mounting point on the bottom of the case for one. The 2 fan inputs here, so I will have to take the cover off anyway and decide which way I'd put the fans on. Most of them have them hooked up on the inside, which would make sense. And the Xigmatek branded crosses for your toolless entry on your hard drives. For some reason, just the little Xigmatek cross appeals to me. I know it's nothing special. The optical drives, I think that's as far as they open, and they just clip into place, and it'll be on both sides, so you would have to take the other side off. And so the hard drive can be mounted up or down, and I will have to see that one and get me mounting screws and cut all this off and work on it. The ultimate aim is to have a PC which is fairly modern. This machine is running on a motherboard and processor from 2006. Yes, it's now got DDR, it could support DDR3, so it might be a board from 2007, and it's running a Radeon 5750, which is only 2 or 3 years old itself. The processor is a Q6600. It's getting long in the tooth. It still does everything I need. Sorry, I'm just playing with something under here because it's getting a bit annoying. It still does everything that I need, and the SSD in the drive certainly did improve speed. And if I actually did a fresh install with this system, which I may do when I move over to here anyway, for the heck of it, it would be a lot more responsive than it is. But a quick copy over definitely improves speed. But this case is much nicer to work with. It'll be nice to have a brand new system in a sense, because it'll be a new motherboard, which is of this year or the year before. The processor is very recent, you know, a year or so behind. The graphics card, well, I'll bump up the power by getting another one. The SSD, I don't know if I just said this, you know, that'll be a nice new SSD with all the latest features, with a complete fresh install of Windows. Much more space. My SSD in here is an OCZ Vertex 2, 60GB. I believe the one I'm after is 256. So it's a bit more useful for loading up Adobe and such like that, which I haven't bothered to do fully yet on this machine. The extra fans, I doubt I'll need any more than 2 intake and 1 exhaust. Even then, 2 intake might be a bit of overkill, as I have fans on my mechanical hard drives anyway, but they're Frisbees? What were they called again? Frisbee Silent. They had about a 14 decibel rating, but they dropped temperatures down by 10 degrees, so that was good when I got them. But yes, I'm just rambling, and that's pretty much me just rambling. So I will start looking at this, reading up the bits, putting them fit in the motherboard, and then it'll be put away back in the box until I can get a processor. I do want the 3570K Core i5, however I am currently trying to get a second-hand Pentium, Celeron, or a Core i3 2120 sort of thing, just to test and make sure the system works properly, you know, and then it's all okay, like I say, because of the motherboard. Other than that, I'm not too worried. It should all be cool in the end. So, Ramblers unite. Rate, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube blagging. Any questions, please ask. I'm always willing to answer, or try and answer, or help people with any questions, even if it's just advice. Always 2 heads are better than 1. rate, comment, subscribe again. Loopney Third out.